Hello and welcome to the second lesson for the Security and Wallets class. This lesson is called Identify and Diversify because we're going to identify which funds need to be locked away and identify which security methods are best. We're going to diversify our holdings and where they're stored. Essentially, because we have multiple eggs, we're going to need multiple baskets here. So keeping anything secure requires some effort and inconvenience, unfortunately. Good security provides a tool that makes it much easier for the authorized person to gain access than the unauthorized one. But there's always a trade-off with convenience. In that regard, it's a bit like adding more locks to your door. It makes it more secure, but it's also a lot more annoying. If you're only using a small amount of cryptocurrency and you want to use it often and learn about it to try and make it grow, then high-level security will introduce too much inconvenience. But when the value of your cryptocurrency is high enough, the extra security becomes worth the effort. So it's up to you to find a balance that suits you from some of the advice we're going over in this video. And remember, your personal responsibility extends to deciding how much risk or security your fund deserves. Anyone who's a subscriber to our premium newsletter is likely familiar with how we divvy up the coins in our portfolio with a tiered structure. These tiers are meant to represent both investment levels as well as our risk analysis for these coins. They're numbered 1 to 4, least risky to most risky. By identifying coins in this way, we can begin to identify which coins we're going to likely hold on to longer and thus secure better. After all, coins that are less risky make better core positions because they're less likely to go to zero and as such are great investment vehicles to build more risky positions around. These core positions are going to be Tier 1s, the least risky coins in our portfolio. Tier 1 coins are those coins which we have considerable assets invested, are firm believers in the project execution and direction, and have very little reason to sell within a short to mid term. These are coins which we've risk evaluated to be very solid and have a high probability of existence duration. Tier 2 coins are those coins which have performed extremely well, we have a large amount of assets with, and we believe will continue to operate with high marks. What separates these coins from our Tier 1 status is a flaw or they haven't yet proven their defining feature, though we believe they likely will. Tier 3 coins are those coins which we have moderate investments with, and we believe have a possibility of high performance in the future, but as of yet have not shown enough performance to reduce their risk profile. Tier 3 coins are coins which are moderately risky, but due to our risk analysis of the project and team, we believe they have minimal chance of failure. Tier 4 coins are coins which we have a minimal stake in and are highly risky. These coins represent the outer fringe of our risk analysis, and that we have little information to work with, have little insight into the coin's performance, and at the very best, we are making an educated guess that they will be successful. If a coin performs well and proves that it has a commitment to its compelling feature, it will be moved to the Tier 3 status. So to start, you'll need to find coins which are the core of your circle of competence. People ask sometimes why I don't have more Tier 1 coins. They'll say, isn't blank coin a Tier 1 coin? Perhaps to you it is, but not to me. And that's the key. My portfolio is not your portfolio. What I choose to be a Tier 1 coin is strictly up to my credentials, my research, and my investment level. I classify Tier 1 coins not only that way because of how much money I've invested, but also because of how much time I've taken to understand them, read about them, and begin to trust their mission. These are coins, the investments at the heart of my circle of competence. Take some time to learn about it. It's a classic Warren Buffett technique. Coins always start out at Tier 4, and they move up if I begin to trust them more, and as such my position with them grows. But they can easily move down as they lose that trust. I invest more in what I know rather than knowing what I should invest more in, and this has made the world of difference for me. Cryptocurrency can be gambling or it can be investing, and the difference is how you treat it. So knowing how to look at your portfolio will help you to know how to best secure it. This is the identify portion of Identify and Diversify. So let's talk about the different kinds of portfolio strategies for coins so we know how to identify them in their tiers. Currently, one of the most popular strategies revolves around Bitcoin. It's viewed as a buy and hold vehicle for fast capital appreciation. But the savvy investors and smart money around the world know that while buy and hold strategy has been quite lucrative over the past few years, buying Bitcoin is just really the beginning. Just like buying America Online or Netscape back in 1996, what's really important is what came next. So talking to passionate crypto enthusiasts, it's easy to realize that the people making the most money in cryptocurrency are not only buying Bitcoin, but they're also leveraging Bitcoin to make even more money. Obviously, this class is not about portfolio management, that's for another time, But I suggest it's best to structure your personal portfolio in such a way that it gives you some more long-term exposure to a diversified group of coins that you like, while also playing a higher risk-reward game in the medium and short term. So again, as I said, one of the most popular strategies out there is buy and hold, or as that's referred to in crypto, hodl. The coins you're going to want to do this with are Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, the big coins. The long-term buy and hold strategy is pretty self-explanatory. Recall back to the first lesson where we discussed the different methods for securing your crypto. Having a more secure method forces you to make more strategic decisions with your coins and prevents you from overreacting to short-term negative news. After all, we'll discuss in the next video how security starts with you. I'd recommend you keep a large portion of your crypto portfolio in high security with a 1 to 2 investment horizon at the very minimum. So these core positions are exclusively tier 1 coins, but an argument can be made for tier 2 coins as well. We have no intention of selling these coins anytime soon, and we don't care what the price does day to day. The long-term horizon is what matters, so security needs to be the highest priority. Accessibility is going to be low because we'll likely be years before we consider withdrawing them. So cold wallets are the easy choice here. Their superior security compared to hot wallets means that you can sleep easier at night knowing there's a non-existent threat of someone breaching your security because your cryptocurrency is safely offline. We will want to make sure that we're diligent about checking in on our coins every now and then, but we also want to do it in a way that doesn't compromise their security. After all, you want to check on the gold in your vault every now and then, but opening the vault door defeats the purpose of it, wouldn't you agree? We also need to make sure that we're monitoring the status of the coin's development. It's not advisable to walk away from your coins for years at a time, though you could certainly do so. This is because cryptocurrency is an active space, and all the time the rules are changing. For example, what would happen if you didn't check on your coin's development for a couple years and came back to find that the coin had been token swapped, meaning that your coin had been upgraded, so your current version of the coin is worthless until you swap that coin. If the swap date was a long time ago, you might be out of luck for upgrading those coins. Thankfully, it's a rather remote possibility, and you'd still likely be able to swap your tokens for the newer version of them. But the point is that until cryptocurrency becomes as rigidly regulated and monitored like fiat currency is, don't take any chances with your investment while you can easily prevent them. So the next kind of coin in our portfolio is going to be a medium-term value, or speculation. These are coins you reserve in your portfolio equal to about half the size of your core holdings. These are medium-risk, speculative coins with an investment horizon of maybe a few weeks or longer. The intention here is to have them semi-liquid in order to take advantage of market movements, but also maximize security in the short term. You can keep them off an exchange in something like a software wallet, and transfer them onto an exchange to sell at a perceived high. You exchange them into a stable coin so you can lock in the gains and you don't have to worry about paying capital gains taxes, then buy back at a perceived dip. You can also take advantage of DCA or dollar cost averaging. Now, quite frankly, this is going to require research and attentiveness to the market. You need to have experience like fundamental analysis to understand what kind of coins to buy, and you would also need experience with technical analysis to accurately read the charts and understand market movements. Honestly, this is not everyone's game. If you have the time or patience to learn these skills, that's okay. This is just one way that people can make money with cryptocurrency, and you don't have to do this. After all, our intention with security is to be risk adverse, and trying to time the market is risk inherent, even for professionals. So these medium risk speculative coins are tier 2 and tier 3 coins. And again, we define them as medium risk, medium investment. And so our last category is high risk, but not necessarily high reward. Summed up as it relates to our security purposes, this is money we've exclusively set aside for highest risk investments. Now, anyone from the stock market will tell you that all of crypto is high risk, and to some degree they're right. But within crypto, there's definitely a spectrum of risk. Reasonably, if you accepted a diversified batch of high-risk investments, the return should be similar or better to a basket of lower-risk investments. Some of your investments will triple, others will go bust, but the far majority will land somewhere in the middle. After all, in 2017, 80% of all ICOs, or initial coin offerings, were profitable. And get this, the median return was over 1,000% ROI. Now understand that that's inflated because you had outliers and the majority of ICOs did not return anything close to 1,000%. In a lot of ways, I look at ICOs like lottery tickets. And the unfortunate nature is that the system is quickly going away with more regulation entering the space. But I think they're a perfect example of high-risk, high-reward investments. The majority of them yielded decent returns. A large minority yielded negative returns, and a small minority yielded insane returns. So one lesson is that investors may not be rewarded for taking on extra risk. Often the risk is not properly priced in. The second lesson is that the market is not nearly as efficient as some people might think. If it was, riskier cryptos would be cheaper, so the returns would be better. Whatever the case, it leads to the question about whether the connection between risk and return is really true. Well, unfortunately, those are great questions for another time. But the point is that a sensible portfolio is not going to mess around with a lot of high-risk investments. For example, I don't recommend putting in more than 5% of your portfolio into ICOs. When it comes to security of these high-risk investments, you've already declared them to be risk capital, and that's money you're okay with losing. A high-risk investment, by definition, could easily go to zero, and that's what makes it high risk. So that's why we commit the smallest portion of our portfolio to it. These are easily tier 4 coins, and we invest in them hoping that one day they'll be worth more, but we don't want to fool ourselves. They could easily be worth nothing. So when it comes to securing our tier 4 coins, these high-risk coins, generally it's okay to let them live on an exchange. I know I've previously made a point to stress how dangerous this is, but again, these are coins and investment we've decided are not a priority like our tier 1, 2, and 3 coins. We'd be very upset if these coins were stolen, but it wouldn't hurt us that much. That being said, it would certainly make us mad. So we'll do everything we can to secure our exchange account, but when you have positions that are relatively small compared to your overall portfolio, it's likely not worth the effort to try and secure them in software wallets or anything more drastic. Additionally, this helps keep them as liquid as possible. Having them on an exchange means that we can sell them at a moment's notice. We don't have to wait for the transaction from a software wallet or to try and dig them out of a hardware wallet. Additionally, we can easily transfer them to another wallet if we have a reason to do so. For example, I just heard about this hot new coin and I really want to get into it, and I looked it up on CoinMarketCap and found that it's not on Binance, where a lot of my high-risk coins primarily live. So I need to sell some of those, transfer the balance over to this exchange where the new coin is being traded, and importantly, I can do all of that within the space of 10 minutes. Another reason keeping some of your high-risk funds on an exchange would be advisable is that often they're so new or so small that they don't have a good software wallet solution. Even coins that are in the top 100 will sometimes not even have a core wallet from the team developing them. So your only option is to keep them on an exchange. Now, that's not always the case, especially with more and more tokens being launched on top of platforms like Ethereum and Neo, and how you can use their wallets to store the token. For example, if a token launches on Ethereum, it's called an ERC20 token, and I can use any Ethereum wallet to store that token. Many of the largest coins out there are actually ERC20 tokens, and as such are more than capable of being stored on Ethereum wallets. This is because launching on top of Ethereum means that they don't have to build their own blockchain, allowing them to rapidly increase the time to launching whatever product or service they're offering. This is why we saw an explosion of ICOs in 2017. One other reason we like keeping some crypto on exchanges is that it allows us to use trading bots, which are an interface with the exchange API, to make trades on your behalf on your account. This means it will always look for opportunities to trade coins that you might not have seen. Not to mention it's always online as crypto is, allowing you to be in the market at all times, even when you're asleep. That being said, opening up your exchange account to API access is a security risk due to the potential backdoor theft. Make sure you disable withdrawals so that even if someone was able to acquire your API keys, they cannot remove cryptocurrency from your account without proper authorization. Again, I have to stress that exchanges are very risky, and if possible, spread out your investments between multiple exchanges. It goes without saying to be very careful when visiting them to make sure that you're visiting the exchange itself and not a site set up to look like the exchange. Bookmark the official exchange link so there's no chance you accidentally visit a site set up to look like your exchange, but is really just a honeypot looking to steal your information. Always use two-factor authentication where possible, and make sure the exchange also emails you for confirmation. SMS two-factor authentication, where the exchange texts you a security code, is not as secure as using an authentication app like Google Authenticator or Authy. Ideally, you need to enter an authentication code from Google Authenticator in order to withdraw any crypto, and then the exchange will ask for a code sent to your email. Again, be very careful with exchanges, because if a thief was able to get into your account and somehow make a withdrawal, your crypto would forever be gone, because all transactions in crypto are irreversible. As with anything in life, you should be making decisions from an informed position. For investments, consider making a spreadsheet of your investments and organize them into different tiers. We've got a template for you to use in the class materials section, which is the same spreadsheet we use for our daily newsletter. Allocate portions of your investment into the various tiers. Every now and then, assess your assets for their applicability and appropriateness in each category, and adjust holding ratios of those assets accordingly. You can use this spreadsheet to track where your holdings are located in case you've got a complicated portfolio. In this way, you're able to do risk management, portfolio allocation, and security all at the same time. Security is about staying organized and motivated. Identifying what positions need different security measures is not the most simple task, but it is worth it when you feel like you've correctly sorted your portfolio. We'll now talk about the second part of this video's topic, diversify. So what does diversification mean with regard to our portfolio, especially within the context of security? Well, obviously identifying the different tiers our cryptos belong to is a form of diversification, and it's important that we do that. After all, one of the best ways you can deter a hacker or thief is to simply have multiple places where your crypto is stored and with different methods. But with crypto, we've got another weapon for fighting against those who would wish to steal our funds. You see, with fiat currency and the banking system we're all accustomed to, you might have one or two bank accounts and that's it. In part, that's due to the necessity of having a bank account, but unless you have some really complicated scheme requiring multiple bank accounts, the average person just has one. You store all your money with one or two banks because you rely on them to provide the security. But remember, in crypto, you are the bank. So we get to write the rules here. Because cryptocurrency is divisible and open source, we can operate in whatever manner we want. If you were to open 10 accounts at one bank, they'd either let you do it and be perplexed, or they'd laugh at you. But having 10 separate wallets in crypto is not only possible, it's preferable. Now, I'm not saying adding complexity to your life is necessary. If you only have a small amount of cryptocurrency, one wallet is fine and that will suit your needs. But what the early Bitcoin investors found was that storing all their Bitcoins on a single wallet was not their only option because you're able to create as many wallets as you like. There's no one whose permission you need to ask, no account to set up. You just need to find a way to manage multiple private keys or key stores in a safe and secure manner. For example, let's say you're doing really well and you've got 25 BTC. You could determine that you'd only allow 5 BTC of value per wallet. So you create 5 separate wallets, each with 5 BTC on them. This way, if your security is somehow breached, you're much more likely to only lose 5 BTC instead of 25 BTC had you only kept your Bitcoin on a single wallet. So as you can see, it's worthwhile to think about all the creative ways to diversify your holdings, not only in portfolio allocation, but also in wallet allocation. In the next video, we're going to discuss security plans and how best to operate in this space to avoid being taken advantage of.